At this point, there's nothing to it but to do it, Big Red. And with that in mind, hello, hi, and how y'all doing? This is Behind the G, podcast for Red Elephants by Red Elephants. I'm Katie B, and for the next little while, myself and GHS Athletic Director Adam Lindsey are going to entertain you wildly with some opining and a lot of conversation. Coming up, we're going to be joined by our head girls basketball coach, Vanessa White, and the vibe check finally freaking returns with our football coach, Josh Niblett. Adam.
Playoff week.
And listen, it isn't that we don't have or haven't had other things going on and starting up. Yes. But it's really hard to move on from something that you know isn't quite over yet.
Yes. Not even close.
Yeah, and as a result, we've both spent the last 2 weeks chomping at the bit and maybe a little time biting each other's heads off.
What?
Because we were ready to get back. Really, it's just me doing that. Because we're chomping at the bit to get back to Bobby Gruen.
Absolutely.
And we finally get to Friday night.
Cannot wait.
Yeah.
It seems like we said this over and over. It seems like we've had an off season since our last game.
I know.
It's like we're starting over, which is great. A mentality shift. We're starting over our season because again, everybody's 0-0, looking to go 1-0.
Yeah. So it's said in coach speak, but in athletics at large, that you play 3 seasons, right? You've got your preseason, which is your out of region, out of conference. Mm-hmm. Then you've got your conference or region play, and then you've got your postseason. And every season is really set up with 3 separate seasons. Mm-hmm. But that's minus a 2-week break. Like the 2-week break has killed me.
Yeah, well, and you don't see that in any other sport.
No.
And again, I go back to was not our original plan.
Correct.
Our original plan was a great plan. GHSA decided to throw for a good reason last year, not a great reason this year.
As GHSA does, throw things in. No, I'm just kidding.
But again, we've had 2 years to prepare for
Correct.
this. We knew what we were getting into, learned a lot last year, going into this year, how to make it better and have our kids better prepared. We're also in a better place based on how we finished in the region.
Absolutely.
Didn't finish how we wanted to, but better than we were last year.
Yeah, no doubt.
So excited about Dunwoody coming to town, excited about getting back on the field, getting Red Elephant football playing again, and ready for the playoffs. Ready for real good football.
Oh gosh, and it is. Listen, Class 5A stacked. We know this. Yep. Mm-hmm. You look at our bracket. I would put our quadrant up against any quadrant in any sport across the country.
Yeah.
But I would for sure put our bracket up against anybody in any high school football in the country. I would put our bracket up against and think whoever's coming out of ours could beat whoever comes out of theirs.
No doubt. I've always had this theory that I would love to see a state championship after the state. Let's play for a real state championship. You win a state championship.
All classifications.
For us, you finish in one of those 7 or 8, I guess it is. Put them in an 8-man bracket and let's go.
Let's roll. That would be awesome. Like Indiana does with basketball.
It'd be incredible.
Yeah.
I think California does something like that with some of their sports, like wrestling or whatever, you wrestle your division or section, whether you just keep going. And I just think that would be let's really determine who is the state champion, because at the end of the day, I long argue that 3A is the worst football in the state. They'd get bounced in the first round, no doubt. But my point is, I'm not sure right now that 6A is the best football.
Yeah.
And that's highly debated across the state, that 5A has the most depth and may not have the best, singular teams, but the depth. I mean, I think when you look at where 5A is right now, you've obviously got us, Roswell, Milton, Thomas County Central, Hughes,
Lee County,
there's Rome,
Houston,
there's great, there's tons of great football in 5A. When you look at, and again, my opinion, even you look at 6A, you've got Carrollton, Buford, Grayson. I think Grayson's on the verge of a dynasty of what they're doing over there. But outside of those 3, I'm not sure that there's anything else. In 5A, you've got 10 teams that could win it, and there's no doubt about that.
And in the conversations we've had about obviously the reclassification coming out, and we're going to get to it, folks. The region realignments that have come out this week as well. The depth of what will now be 6A compared to what will be 7A the difference is striking. I mean, again, and one of the first things that you and I talked about after the reclass numbers came out was in 6A, I don't know who's winning what, where, when, or how.
Exactly.
In 7A, I can tell you what 4 schools are going to be part of every single championship.
Yep.
Every single championship. And that's literally across the board. Baseball, girls basketball, tennis, every single one, I can tell you. And so, two sides to the coin. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out. But here's what I know. Gainesville High School is working to make sure their athletic programs are a part of every championship as well.
Absolutely.
I know that to be dadgum true. So anyway, we got Coach Niblett coming up with the vibe check. It's been 3 weeks since we've done one. He goes into great detail about what they've done to, as you said, they've had 2 years to prepare for this moment, learned a lot from last year when they took a week off to get our guys ready to roll after a 3-week hiatus. Yes, one of those weeks is a game week, but a 3-week hiatus, and especially coming off a disappointing loss. So he talks in depth about that. Great conversation with Coach Niblett coming up as our Red Elephants prepare to play Dunwoody. First round of the state playoffs. Elephant Walk at 5:30. Y'all know this, but I keep saying it, hoping more of you are going to show up because I get so disappointed in Gainesville fans with their golf claps and their pearl clutches. Get to Bobby Gruen Field and support our freaking kids. Elephant Walk at 5:30, kickoff at 7:30. Be there for all of it. Be loud, not only on third down, but on first down for us, on first down for them, on second down, third down. When the band's playing, sing along. Show up and actually show out. Bring your cowbells. Bring your children. Bring your dogs for all we care. Well, I don't really bring your dogs.
No, it's not
Only dog allowed at Bobby Gruen's Bella. And if you have not arrived at Bobby Gruen early enough to hear Bella belting from her K9 car, you literally have not lived. But I'm being dead serious. Guys, show up. It's playoff time. And the Red Elephants are playing. So even if it wasn't playoff time, show up. So all that said, 7:30 kickoff, Friday night, first round of the state playoffs. Cannot wait to watch our boys play. Adam, two big things we kind of want to talk about before we bring in Coach White, our girls basketball coach, before we bring in Coach Niblett for the vibe check. One is we had a huge signing day.
Yeah.
This morning.
Yep.
Adam and I are recording this on Wednesday. So Wednesday morning in the media center, the student activities center, we had the media room, I should say. We had a signing. Largest contingent of Division I signees at one signing.
Yep.
That Gainesville High School's ever had. We had Bria Gibbons signed to play soccer at the University of Miami. Taylor Reed signed to play volleyball at Louisiana Monroe. Quentin Mansfield signed to play men's basketball at Troy University, and Charlie Gershmel signed to play men's basketball at Belmont University. What a quality group of 4 Red Elephant student athletes.
Absolutely, and I want to first point out, and I'm going to say this, but this is in my tenure because I have no idea exactly what happened before I got here. First time we've had a group signing at the early signing period.
Yeah.
And that is, I have to follow that with Krista Gibbons signed early last year to go to Cincinnati. They chose not to have her a part of an early signing, which was they're totally fine. But for us to have 4 Division I early signees is
In 3 sports. In 3 different sports, and not one of those sports is football.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable to
Yeah.
me. I mean, it's a huge thing for Gainesville athletics. We're super proud of all 4 of them. And as I mentioned today in their signing, they're 4 great kids.
Yeah.
That we've loved to watch play.
Epitomize what a student athlete should be at any school, but especially representing one as tradition rich as this place.
I'm not sure there's a B in any of those 4. I mean, they're
on their transcripts.
Yeah, on their transcripts.
No doubt.
I really don't think there's a
Yeah.
B in any of the 4. As we've mentioned before, Charlie's probably going to fight somebody for the valedictorian. I mean, super high academic of all 4 of those kids. Super character out of all 4 of those kids. They are all kids that you'd be fine with your child hanging out with your child dating. They're just great people, and they're all also great athletes.
Yeah.
So super excited for the 4 of them. Super excited for next year to be able to talk about all 4 of them right here on Behind the G.
That's what I'm talking about.
As part of the behind in the trunk.
From the trunk.
From the trunk.
Get
Sorry.
it right, Adam. It's your show.
Put it on my list.
Put it on your list.
But just great kids,
Yeah.
great families. Super appreciative for something I just mentioned in that ceremony is talking about thanking the parents.
Yeah.
I always feel like the parents don't get enough credit they get the credit for what their kid has done, but for helping get them to that point. You wish you had a receipt for how much you've spent on gas and food and travel and leagues and all that kind of stuff, just to know how much you've put into it. But super credit goes out to their parents for everything they've put into it and for making sure they were here with us.
Yeah, no doubt.
Super excited for them, happy for them. Looking forward. We have another signing day coming up on December 4th. That will be the early enrollees for our football kids. We'll, I think, set probably another record there with Division I enrollees, early enrollees. So excited about that on December 4th as well.
And for those of you out there listening, first of all, thank you. But second of all, there's this, I don't really want to call it a misconception because it does hold true in some areas, but there is a narrative maybe. And I say that because most of the people who talk about it and have these perspectives and opine about it aren't really in the arena. They just hear about what goes on in the arena, or they walk around the circumference, right? They're on the perimeter. There's this idea, though, that all today's high school student athletes care about, not exclusive to Gainesville, FYI, but all high school athletes care about, is what can you do for me to get me to the next level, to get me to that NIL money, that all, they're just in it for themselves. All they care about, blah, 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 right? Taylor Reed, I'm sitting in my office, just inside the Student Activity Center. And this gives you an idea of the kind of student athlete we have here, one. But also that narrative is a little tired when it comes to our student athletes, especially at Gainesville, that they're in it for themselves. They only care about getting to the next level. They're not loyal. They don't care about where they are, where their feet are, blah, 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 competing for Gainesville. I'm sitting in my office. Taylor Reed comes walking in. A couple of her teammates for Gainesville volleyball are sitting on the couches in the lobby of the Student Activity Center. And for anybody who's been in the Student Activity Center on the campus of Gainesville High School, you see that there's a huge TV we have in our lobby that just runs highlights of our student athletes, just on a loop, highlights, every sport. And so a couple of the volleyball players were sitting there watching them, and Taylor comes walking in, and they said, "Taylor, come sit down. We love watching these highlights." And Taylor said, "It makes me sick to watch them because I'm never going to get to do it again."
Yeah,
makes her sick.
That'll get you.
That'll get you right there. And she wasn't being rude. She just said, you'll understand in a couple years, but I can't sit down and watch it. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of kids we're dealing with.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad.
I loved it.
I'm so glad it means something to her.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we say that to kids all the time. Snap your fingers. It's gone just like that.
Yeah.
And for someone to not only feel it but vocalize it, that means a lot.
Yeah. And to kids who are going to be going through it, because then maybe the perspective she just shared with them will click, and they'll go, "Oh gosh, yeah. Yes. We need to be where our feet are."
Yeah.
And take it, not take it more seriously, but be more invested in this moment when we get to represent this place.
Yep. Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. So anyway, very, very telling moment. Again, part of the premise of this podcast is part of the reason we wanted to do it. Bring you a little behind the scenes moment that 4 people in the whole world saw that moment.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I got to be one of them, because seeing those kind of moments means the world to me. Means the absolute world to me. And getting to share them with you all out there listening does as well, because again, changes up a narrative a little bit, because she's not the only one that feels that way.
No, and at the end of the day, certainly for our kids that are going on to the next level, their focus will go to that next level once they get here, but they'll never be able to get this back.
No.
Whether you're going on to play at the next level, you'll never get this high school experience back, and this high school experience will always... It'll always be kind of an anchor for you.
Yeah, and especially for a place like Gainesville High School,
where it means a whole lot.
It's all the more special.
Yeah.
Trust me when I say it's all the more special. It doesn't get better than the high school experience you have here. So, all that said, super proud of our 4 student athletes who like I said, at the little basketball event we had last Thursday night that was great at Johnny's Pizza, by the way. Planning on growing that thing for the next year. But anyway, as I said, signing their lives away.
Yeah.
Like you think sports is tough now, baby?
Yeah.
College ball is a different world. But super proud of those four. And again, they really epitomize what it means to be a student athlete everywhere. But Bigger Ed, you should really be proud that they're representing the G. Okay, so all that said, another big story, another thing we need to talk about is the region realignment.
Yeah.
We are going to be positioned in a region that looks a lot like the region we're currently in, with the addition of two teams, Riverwood and
Mountain View.
Right.
Lose Chattahoochee.
Right.
Lose
Seconder.
Seconder's going up. Chattahoochee's going down.
Yeah. Anyway, your thoughts on our new but same region?
It's still a very tough region. I mean, it is a tough region. Both of those kind of bring in, a difference, a little different than the ones that left. Mountain View, a Gwinnett County school, not great in football.
Right.
But they'll pick up some things. They're decent in basketball, decent in baseball.
Yeah.
Soccer's important down there. So just a different element. They're a consistent, kind of across the board school. Riverwood, oddly enough, I coached at Riverwood for a while, so got a little bit of experience there. The most southern North Fulton County school.
Really?
It's right there on the perimeter. You've seen it a million times. You drive down 285. It's right up there on the right.
Okay.
You probably didn't know exactly what you're looking for. In the middle of one of the nicest neighborhoods in the state of Georgia. I remember the first time I went to go visit that school whenever I was going to work there. I got off the exit and was like, where in the world am I? Nothing but like $5+ million houses that
Are you serious?
surround that school. Yes.
Well, I mean, is that sort of the, and again, it makes me wonder why we're sitting here in it, but is that sort of the theme for the region? Because Milton, super wealthy area.
Yeah.
Roswell, super wealthy area.
Yep.
And here we are.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking a lot about the region alignment lately for a lot of different reasons. Of course, Region 8 is longstandingly where we've been.
Yeah.
Up until this last.
And the teams in that region.
The teams in that region: Habersham, Jackson County, Clark Central, Cedar Shoals, Appalachia, Loganville, Walnut Grove.
So essentially, other than Loganville and Walnut Grove, the region we were in 2 years ago.
Yeah. Which is you always kind of scratch your head when you see this. I mean, I'll always go back to Habersham has to drive past us to get
Correct.
to their region.
Right.
Everyone going to play Habersham has to drive past us to go to
Right.
Habersham. So why we're not in there, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to us why that decision was made. But at the end of the day, we're going to compete with who we need to compete against to go do what we need to do. But our region, look forward to playing Mountain View. Look forward to playing Riverwood. The rest of it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, and again, we'll get into this here in a moment, but with playoff positioning going to a PSR, a power ranking, if you will.
Yeah.
With our region does us a lot of favors.
Yeah.
At least in football. But probably, I guess, across the board, boys basketball.
Yeah.
But
it is a tougher region than
Yes,
Region 8. So
it is.
therefore, PSR wise, we benefit from that
Correct.
PSR.
But would it really matter if you're capable of winning region in more sports and thus get a 1 seed? And
Correct.
In a region where proximity is concerned, and isn't that what the regions are? That's why they call it regions,
Yeah.
right?
It's supposed
If it's
to be.
about proximity, if you're capable of winning region in more sports, then it really doesn't matter if the region you're in would be better for PSR numbers. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, and I think that's kind of as we have conversations of the do we appeal,
Right.
We have that conversation no matter what. Obviously distance wise, we're closer to everybody not everybody, not Loganville and Walnut Grove, but we're closer to most everybody in Region 8 than we are to anybody in Region 7.
Right.
And I certainly think that's a region that, we could go into and have a good shot at, being the 1 seed in a lot of things, as opposed to in Region 7, it's not a guarantee.
It's a bigger struggle.
It's a bigger struggle.
But also, we would boost the PSR of every other school in Region 8 by being in there.
We would boost their PSR.
Correct.
It might hurt us, though.
And
it's
at
a
least,
balancing act.
Right.
I think you have to kind of look at it and say, can I win the 1 seed? Because if I don't, I'm hurt.
So let me ask you this. When we're talking about PSR, obviously the first thing that's going to pop into our head is, WWFD. What will football do?
Yeah,
right? That's because that's the season we're in right now, right?
Yeah.
But PSR is for is different for every sport. So
Correct.
Where soccer is concerned, our girls' soccer team could compete in Region 8.
Yeah.
Like they would have their own
much better
PSR.
shot.
It doesn't rely on boys soccer making the state playoffs isn't relied or isn't it doesn't matter what football did. They have their own PSR, right?
Correct. Yeah.
It's each individual sport.
Each individual sport.
And that might sound like a silly question, but I wanted to clarify, because when we talk about PSR and we're definitive about it, what's in our mind is what's at play right now, which would be football.
Yeah.
And
I think it's the difficult thing, I think, sitting in this office where you have to not just think about football or not just think about basketball.
Yeah.
You got to think about everybody.
You got to think about everybody.
So when I have that conversation of should we appeal to go to 8? And first of all, look, let's be very clear about something. We might, appeal to go from 7 to 8, Region 7 to 8. We are guaranteed zero chance of that to happen. And personally, honestly, I don't think the GHSA, the reclass committee, is going to do us any favors.
Yeah.
And part of one of the questions they ask is when you do appeal is, well, what is the region that you would be going to? What's their opinion on the subject?
Yeah.
And if anybody thinks that Region 8 is going to say, oh, yes, please, Gainesville, come over here with us.
No region's going to say that.
No region's going to say that because, I know the people I know all the ADs in that region, and they see without us being over there, they feel like we got a shot.
You're right.
So they're not going to say hey, Gainesville, come over here.
Yeah.
So we can look at it and say yes, we would have a great chance of being very competitive in every sport over there. They're saying the same thing without us being over there.
And for me, and look, I want complete competitiveness.
Yeah.
We all want that. That is the goal. Complete competitiveness. Mm-hmm. For some of our programs, that's gonna take a build regardless of the region we're in. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
For some of our sports, it's the opposite. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what region we're in. We're gonna run the table.
Yep.
But complete competitiveness is the goal. The thing that gets me, I don't care who wants what.
Yeah.
Are we basing regions on proximity, or are we basing regions on who y'all don't want to get their feelings hurt? Is that what we're basing?
Yeah, I mean,
are we creating regions? Do the rules stand for everybody, or are we trying to make sure everybody gets a trophy still?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the question, because here to your point, when I look at how the regions sit right now, and again, I'm looking at football solely right now because that's what's on our mind. When I look at it, I see a major imbalance amongst the regions. Mm-hmm. Obviously, for us in 7, you've got us, Roswell, Milton. Okay, when you go to Region 2, which is the South Georgia, you've got Thomas County Central, Lee County, Houston County. Dominant 3 right there. When you look at Region 3, you've got Creekside, Langston Hughes, and they moved Woodward into that region, making that 3 dominant teams in that region. And then when you go to Region 6, you've got Kell, River Ridge, Rome, and Sequoia. 4 really good teams in that region. That is 4, in my opinion, really, really strong football regions in the state. When we go back to, we'll talk about currently 5A's dominance, 6A, next year, that's 12 really good teams right there.
And let me interrupt Adam here real quick to say this. Yes, football again. That's what we're doing. And this is an example of what he means when he's talking about 4 regions are very, very dominant, and he's going to get to the 4 regions that ain't. And football's. But I look at the Kell, Sequoia, River Ridge region for girls basketball.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And you're doing a disservice to not have to not be able to have all 5 of the teams in that region be able to make the play. I'm like, it's a disservice to the game.
Yeah. So when I look at it, and again, the opposite of what I'm saying, you've got those 4 dominant regions. I look at it, and I mean no disrespect to anybody. I really don't. But the other 4 regions are weak at best.
Yes.
They're just simply weak at best. So I don't know, again, just conspiracy theory, in the back of my mind. Did somebody sit down and say, like, hey, we're going to put these good football teams together, let them duke it out. Their PSR is going to be fine to get them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then we're going to guarantee that a team from all those other 4 regions makes it in because that may be their only shot.
So survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Or cannibalization, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
Instead of region alignment being based on what it should be based on, which is proximity.
Yeah.
And obviously, it doesn't matter how many numbers don't matter because numbers are too skewed in the regions. You got some with 7, some with 9, some with 5. So that doesn't matter. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, no, and look, I'm going to give you 2 examples, 3 maybe, when I look at these regions. And again, we're talking about football. Region 4, which is where they pulled Woodward out of to stick them in with Langston Hughes and Creekside. Okay, Alcovey, Chamblee, Decatur, Dunwoody, Heritage, Meadow Creek, Midtown, and Shiloh.
I just yawned. That's how that.
I mean,
yeah.
Shiloh going to win that one?
Yay.
I mean, like.
And in every sport.
Yeah, and I mean, again, no disrespect for anybody in that group, but nobody should come out of that as an automatic qualifier.
No.
Okay, go to Region 5. Alexander, Chapel Hill, East Paulding, Hiram, New Manchester, Osborne coming down from 7, South Cobb, and South Paulding. Again, who deserves to win that region?
Mm-hmm.
Region 8, I'll say it, and again, I harp on Region 8 all the time. Appalachia, Cedar Shoals, Clark Central, Habersham, Jackson County, who's having a great year this year, and they may be the one to break the cycle to win a first round game out of that region. Loganville and Walnut Grove. Again, Jackson County will clearly probably win the 1 seed out of that region next year, and then very possibly get knocked out in the first round by a team that's way better than them.
All those 3 teams, those 3 regions you just mentioned, anybody that comes out of that, and again, we're talking football only right now because it's the low-hanging fruit. The team that comes out, that is the region champion, those 3 regions, obviously gets a top 16 seed. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who they play in the first round. That top seed is getting beaten.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
I would put money on it right now.
Does not matter.
Because at the end of the day, they're going to end up playing somebody in one of those the 4 dominant regions. And a 2
and instead what you could have is making sure a great school, 2 great schools are in every region.
Yeah.
And then they don't have a top,
Well, because here's going to be the unintended consequence about this, and I'll tell you this: we went back and PSR'd our current 5A.
Yeah.
Okay, we would be playing Seconder in the first round, and Roswell would be playing Lanier in the first round, which you kind of can't get away from something along those lines.
Sure.
Whenever you're doing a top 32 based on a power ranking. But think about it. When I went through those 3 classes, Houston County, Lee County, Thomas County Central, Creekside, Woodward, Langston Hughes, us, Roswell, Milton, Kell, River Ridge, Rome, Sequoia, one of those teams is going to play somebody from their region in the first round and knock out somebody who shouldn't be.
Right.
And again, if they had balanced these out a little bit better, from a region standpoint, it assures them that they would not have to play each other in the first round. But I guarantee you, we're going to be sitting here next year. We're going to be talking about who of those schools are going to be playing each other in the first round.
That's just the way the deep thinking and conversations that happen in regards to the reclassification, the PSR coming up for next year, the region realignment, y'all'd be floored at the stuff I've learned and heard coming out of Admiral Lindsey's office. And not because it's denigrating in any way. I'm talking about the analytics that are going into all of this and trying to determine what is best at the end of the day for Gainesville High School's entire athletic department.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we talked a little bit about this last week. Sat in Monday's appeals meeting, 51 appeals. I got home at 9:00 on Monday night, listening to that. And again, we could spend a whole segment talking about those appeals, the appeals that were made, the appeals that were granted, the appeals that were denied. No rhyme or reason.
Right.
3 schools got up there from 7A, made literally the exact same appeal. One of them got unanimously voted in. One are approved, one got unanimously denied, and one of them kind of got like a 50-50 vote and didn't get approved. Those people are scratching their heads like, why did you say yes to that one? Why did you say, and nothing. So again, but point being, what I'm doing a very slow job of getting around to is, I don't know who's going to appeal regions. So we go through all this stuff. I've had a ton of conversations with a bunch of these ADs. Some of them are appealing. Some of them are choosing to appeal. Some of them are on the fence. Some of them are fine staying where they're at. The whole appeal process for regions will be next Monday.
Right.
So I'll probably end up going down just because I'm a glutton for punishment to listen to all that if we choose not to appeal ourselves. So don't know exactly. Point is, regions could change again.
Yeah.
It could. We could have people added. We could have people taken away. I don't know. Don't know that there'll be a ton of change, but there might be some. Who knows? So that'll happen on Monday, and then once they get through all of that, approved, denied, they'll send back, hey, this is the final list, and then that goes to the state executive committee in January for final approval, and nothing will be said until then, because there's always the chance. That somebody that got denied a reclassification for their class can appeal to the state executive committee in January. And yes, that's in January. It's a long way away.
And throw a wrench in everything.
And throw a wrench. They have to start all this stuff over again.
Right.
Not start over, but, kind of tweak from there. So a long process that, again, it's fun to sit back and talk about all the possibilities. And as we get closer to finding down, kind of analyze exactly, where people are and why they're there and how it affects all of us.
God, how it's affecting me right now is I'm just slightly infuriated that I just don't really, I don't understand the thought process. Are we going into back rooms and just picking and choosing? I feel like we're going into back rooms and picking and choosing.
Well,
I feel like we're going into back rooms with somebody. Somebody's going into a back room somewhere and going, hey, you know what? Let's screw these guys over.
Well, I will say this, and this has been one of my frustrations,
and not just Gainesville, by the way.
Yeah,
not just Gainesville.
And this is one of my frustrations, and I defend the GHSA office probably a whole lot more than I should.
You absolutely do.
I think,
I don't know about should, but you defend them a lot.
I think the GHSA office catches a whole lot of flack for decisions made by the membership.
Correct.
And I always, every time I do an interview or talk to people about when they say the GHSA, exactly who are you talking about? Are you talking about the office?
Right.
Are you talking about some committee that made a decision? Because those are vastly two different things. But point being is, so the parameters are set by the reclass committee of this is how we're going to set up classifications. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then once they get all the FTE, the office takes the information, the reclass committee says, this is how you're going to do it. And then they go and do it.
Right.
Okay. And that's what they put out last week. Okay. Using that formula. Now, from there, once all the appeals are done, at the end of the day on Monday, the GHSA office it is their responsibility to then go and put everybody in regions. Mm-hmm. Okay. That is a GHSA office responsibility. Now, I was down there on Monday, and I'm going to tell you, there were people in the reclass that are off of the reclass committee that followed the GHSA office people back into the office before it came back out. Mm-hmm. Now, you talk about back room. There was something back room going on there.
Right.
As a member of the GHSA, I don't appreciate that. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody on that committee's opinion matters. It's the GHSA office.
Right.
They're hired to do that.
Once it goes into their hands.
It needs to be left alone. They need to come out and say, this is what we've done. And then if people want to appeal, but
it.
let the unbiased people do it.
Yes.
Don't let a biased opinion walk into that room and try to influence. And I do think that happens, and I think that's very unfortunate. It's bad for everybody. It's bad for whoever they've affected. It's not a good look for that person of the school or the area or region that person represents. It's not a good look. It's just not a good look, and I hate that because again, at the end of the day, who's going to get blamed? The GHSA office.
Yeah.
And again. I defend them because I always go back to they are the only unbiased people in the room,
and that's who should be
making those decisions.
That's who should be deciding.
Yep.
Yes,
yep.
That's who should be deciding. Well, folks, all that said, we got a great show coming up for you, and we are in a very positive place mentally.
Yes.
Obviously, we're in a positive place physically.
Week.
It's playoff week, and we work at Gainesville High School,
yep.
And within Gainesville City Schools. So, all in all, that seemed like a lot of negative diatribe there, and truly, the bottom line is this: we want to be able to be completely competitive, and when you've got systems working against you. You can't defend yourself against them, and there's no way to change opinions. And when you've got, to Adam's point, people working against you that shouldn't even be in the conversation to begin with and making decisions on your behalf, and you end up getting screwed as a result, it's hurtful. Doesn't matter if you're Gainesville High School. It doesn't matter if you're Milton. Doesn't matter if you're Seconder. It's hurtful. It's harmful to these student athletes. And those are the people who we should have first and foremost in our mind. So, yeah. All that said, got a great show coming up. Vanessa White going to join us next. Girls basketball coach. What's their season look like? What are these top sophomores she's got coming back? What do they look like? And then the vibe check with Coach Josh Niblett. Thanks for being with us, folks. This is Behind the G. Continuing our winter sports previews here on Behind the G. And this week we welcome onto the show, GHS girls basketball coach Vanessa White. She's entering her fourth year at the helm of the Lady Red Elephant program. Been to the state playoffs all 3 years, Elite Eight first year, first round exits the last 2 years, but a great group, talented group with her this year, looking to make a deeper run than what we've seen the last couple of years. Coach White, welcome into the show. We're happy to have you here.
Glad to be here, and really excited about this upcoming season. Yeah,
good. We are too. And really, it's all about the young talent you've got, right? This sort of core group of sophomores. Not a tall group, right? They are a guard-heavy group.
Absolutely.
But, man, they are just an exciting – and part of the reason they're so exciting is because they love the game. Do you see that in them too?
Absolutely, yes. Like you said, not a tall group, but, we have about 4 guards.
Consistency is the key.
That's it.
Absolutely. But they love the game. They're a skillful group. They have talent all the way around, and so it's good to see a group of girls who just love being around the game.
Yeah, and listen, we're talking about Jocelyn Smith, Shaylin Jones, Demaria Colburn. Those are the 3 guards you're going to see in the starting lineup. They are all sophomores, but we've also got to me, I love the kids who come in. They're sort of your glue kids, but you're not going to miss anything defensively, right?
Absolutely.
If you got a couple kids in there who can go and hit a layup in a fast break situation, but we don't want to miss anything defensively. And that's, along with that sophomore group, a Leanna Promise, a Shia Barnett. It's just a strong group all the way around.
Absolutely. I always believe in having a defensive stopper on the court, and Nashia and Leanna are those 2 type of kids that can kind of grow into that position as to where they give our opponents, their best players, just trouble with just being able to be in their face, denying them,
right,
and kind of playing their role. And that's what we've been working on a lot, is them just getting into that role, because it's a big role. If we can hold a team, minus 20,
right,
because, they're 25-point scorers, only scoring 5, then that's advantage for us.
Oh, absolutely. And, listen, if you... When Gainesville girls walk off the bus, right? When you get off the bus, they're going to be like, oh, let's just throw it down low. But truth of the matter is, we do have a couple big bodies down there. And Juju St. Louis and Bree Shiloh. What's
Jayla
it been?
Mintz.
Jayla Mintz, yeah.
Don't forget her.
Right.
Jayla Mintz.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing.
Best athlete on the court.
Amen into that, right?
Yes,
We're going to
absolutely.
get to Jayla in a second. Thank you for bringing her up, Adam.
Anytime.
Don't talk again, then.
Yes, ma'am.
No more talking. But I'm just kidding. But seriously enough, Bree Shiloh last year was coming back from her ACL injury. You could tell it was affecting her, right? Fully back now. I love seeing that she's not wearing a brace.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And the girl's got her little elbow jumper that she has developed in the off season.
Yes. She's done a great job coming in this fall, getting on that shooting machine, putting up 200 shots, and has experienced a lot of consistency.
Yeah.
We started out with saying, hey, we want to go 45%. Now she's up to 55%.
Oh, wow.
Just with no defense, we're trying to get her up to 60% so that, in the game, she's around 45 to 50%.
Which is what you want.
Absolutely.
I mean, folks don't think they see 45% and they're like, oh, that's
really
a great
good.
shooting percentage.
Yes.
That's a great shooting percentage. So otherwise, give us an idea of the makeup of this year's team, what people can expect when they come to see the Lady Red Elephants.
We traditionally play the get after you. My philosophy is, we want to make girls teams play faster than what they're comfortable playing.
Yeah.
We want to practice that at that speed. And so that, that's one of the things that GAC did to us this week is, they kind of got up in this, made us play at a speed that we were uncomfortable, and we just did not play as well as expected. But that's what we want to do. I think we have the athletes to do that. Even in our posts, like what we spoke about, I think Jayla Mintz is an incredible athlete, and she plays at the front of our press. She rebounds the ball well. She does some, gets deflections and tips, and gets that point guard having to play uncomfortably, and not allowing them to get set up in their offense.
Yeah.
And kind of doing what their coach wants them to do. We want them to have to play off of just raw talent.
Right.
And in the girls' game, a lot of times, there is few and far between talented teams.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's our philosophy. Now, another thing that we want to do is we want to get back and play a great half-court defense, and limit teams to one opportunity, box out, keep their field goal percentage low. And so that's kind of, the philosophy that we want to play in from a defensive perspective. Offensively, we want to push. We want to play that transition game.
Yeah.
We want to get easy opportunities on the offensive end of the court. And then if we don't get those easy opportunities, we want to be able last year we wasn't there yet because we were so young, but we want to be able to run those guards off screens, pin screens, cross screens. We got big post players that can set good screens.
Yeah.
We also want to look at two-man games on, specific sides of the floor and try to isolate our post players. And then I always say this, we want to try and get as much as we can scoring wise out of our out of bounds plays, our side out of bounds plays and our out of bounds baseline plays. And so we're really, really specific this year on making sure we're screening and we're trying to put our players in places of advantage to score.
Last week on the podcast, KDB asked me, what I saw out of y'all's matchup with GAC, and the first thing, my first comment is the three freshmen didn't look like three freshmen anymore. Like they had matured and looked like sophomores now. What kind of growth have you seen out of those three sophomores?
Absolutely, I agree with you. I feel like that we're starting to understand the game a lot better. This summer we went to the University of Alabama, we went to Tech, we went to a lot of places, and we only scheduled good competition because I wanted to kind of put them in the fire to grow them up a little bit more, right? And I always say this is a big transition from going to middle school to high school.
Absolutely.
Because when you are in middle school, there's no second and third line of defense a lot of times. You beat your person, you go get a layup, you go get an easy jump shot, you get a good dish off, whatnot. But when you get to high school, offensively, from an offensive perspective, when you beat that first line of defense, you got a 6'2" waiting in there for you, right? And our girls are a little bit undersized, right? And so we've been doing a lot of things in the postseason and preseason, like teaching them how to play off 2 feet, right? Because they're going to have to learn to jump stop, shot fake, get people in the air, spin, kick it back out, whatnot. And so we've been doing a lot of that. We also been doing a lot of film study with teaching them how to read the second and the third line of defense. Another thing we've worked on all summer is this. You never can count your wins and losses in the summer because there's some teams that are without players and all the way around. But we played Woodstock, we played Fannin, we got a win against Fannin, who won the state championship last year. And like our girls grew a lot this summer. They grew up a lot. You know, I'm hoping to see one of the biggest things that we're working on right now is our response to adversity. You know, like being aware of, okay, when is the adversity taking place? And how do we fight back? And, you know, when is a good time to speak up and bring this team together, you know, from a player-driven leadership standpoint. And so, like, that's one of the big things that we're working on right now. And all summer we were working on our response to adversity, whether it be the officials, whether it be the flow of the game, the tempo of the game, and being aware of, okay, this was what was working for us. We got to continue this, right? You know, in the GAC game, one of the things I noticed was second half, an adjustment was made they played more aggressively. They were harder on the offensive glass, you know, and we didn't really respond the way we should have. They applied more pressure to us and not allowed us to run some of our base offense that we were trying to run, and we didn't respond well. And so, you know, we're constantly working on how do we respond to any changes within the game, so that we can come out on top.
So Fannin and Adam, I'll let you talk again here in a second. Fannin, okay, folks, listen. Coach White, from Northwest Georgia. She hails from Northwest Georgia.
Absolutely.
Played for Coach Jean Durden. We're going to get into her background here shortly, but she's from around here. Okay, she understands the state of Georgia girls basketball. How is Fannin still good? Because they've been good.
Absolutely, they were good. You know, my first state playoff experience was the Elite Eight versus Fannin County.
Okay.
And you wouldn't typically think Fannin County, like, what, really?
So here's the thing.
Nothing to do but girls basketball.
Literally. So Johnny Farmer was their coach back in early 90s, okay? They were in our region. And this was the year before the Gainesville girls won their first state title, okay? So this was the 92-93 basketball season. We played for a state title that year, and oddly enough, that was the first year the Gainesville girls had ever made the state playoffs. Played for a state title that year. Fannin County in our region, coached by Johnny Farmer. We played them 2 times, right? Home and away in the regular season. Played them for the sub-region championship, because back then you had sub-regions, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Played them for the sub-region championship. Played them for the region championship, and then played them for the state championship and lost all 5.
Wow.
How is Fannin still good at girls basketball?
They have a rich tradition.
I'm saying.
You know? It's crazy.
And it doesn't matter, you know, and look, we can have a rich tradition here too, but it's like they don't ever, the changes.
It's consistent.
Yes.
There's no drop off.
And the changes to the system. You know, we talk a lot about how high school athletics has changed, but where girls basketball is concerned, that change never affects. I just don't understand it. It's weird to me.
And I think one of the things about Fannin too is they stayed in that AA, single A classification.
Yeah, you're right about that
as well.
Well,
you know, they didn't really
make a world of difference.
Yes,
you're right about that. God, doesn't it though?
Sounds like a conversation for later.
It sounds. It does indeed.
But Coach, so y'all had the GAC scrimmage. Haven't officially played your first game yet. So what are you looking forward to in your non-region schedule before y'all get into region play?
Yes, I've kind of did the same thing that I did this summer. You know, like KDB said, we want to try and get past that first round of the state playoffs this season. But in order to do that, I knew we had to play a little bit tougher competition. And so we're going to the Gulf Shores tournament before Thanksgiving. Excuse me.
Going to the beach.
Going to the beach. Beach Bash, Gulf Shores. And they matched us up with some pretty good competition. They actually sent an email out yesterday and changed our schedule up just a little bit more, you know.
Just wait till next week.
I was about to say, you still got 2 weeks. It'll change again.
That's right. And so we're playing West Point, which is a good team out of Alabama. I think last season they were 26-5. And so I got assistant coaches right now since we just found that out yesterday, doing research and getting on NFHS and the huddle, trying to find some research on them. Also, I think we have Cold Springs, which they have won state championships maybe the last 3 or 4 years in Alabama in a smaller classification like AA, single A. But, you know, they're a traditional powerhouse girls basketball program. And then we have Cherokee County that last game. And so, you know, we're trying to, you know, play a state quality opponents in our preseason, so that will get us ready for the state playoffs.
Allows you to see what you have before you get into region play. You know how to start making those adjustments.
Yeah, and again, look, it doesn't matter. Georgia is a rich girls basketball state. Always has been. So it doesn't matter what region you're in, who you play, what classification you're in. You're going to play some of the best competition when you get into our region play, no matter what region we would be in. So anyway, I lost my train of thought there. I was going to say something a lot more profound, and it just didn't come out because I'd already moved on. But also, I'm watching out the window, and it's cold outside, isn't it, Coach?
Very.
And the way that these coaches are dressed, the football coaches that are walking over from the weight room, and this just cracks me up.
Just eyes.
You can't even see their
eyes.
That's right.
Just eyes.
Anyway, back to Coach Vanessa White again, joining us on Behind the G. Entering into her 4th season, Coach. Part of the premise of this show is sort of pulling the curtain back on the athletics, right? We want to move away from the X's and O's, move away from the Jimmies and Joes, and get to actually know what happens behind the scenes, and part of that is getting to know our coaches. So the first thing I thought of when, or the first thing I liked when you were going to be hired, when we were in the hiring process and you and I were having conversations, one of the first things that stood out to me was how mentally, when it comes to the X's and O's of basketball, you and I are just alike. Play defense, rebound, you're going to win, right?
Absolutely.
That's it. Keep the other team from scoring. Your scoring will come. Easy buckets, let your defense do your offense for you, right? And then rebound the heck out of the basketball.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. That's your mentality when it comes to basketball. Take us back to when you first started in the game. How did that become your philosophy for coaching?
So, as you spoke earlier, I played for Gene Durden, and that was, that was beat into me from the time I was in 7th grade, all the way until, I graduated in 2000.
And this is Gene in his Dade County.
Yes, that's Gene Durden in his Dade County.
Pre-Buford.
Pre-Buford.
Not a whole
era.
lot different, but you could do a little more as a coach back then. You could be a little rougher.
Oh my goodness, I have a lot of stories. We would take charges in warm-ups.
Yeah, that seems right. Yeah, that seems right. That's so awful.
Was he delivering them?
I know. Listen,
Were they using a football dunk?
I have a really good. I got kind of a funny story. About just the toughness of Gene Durden, even with his own children. Kobe Durden, who's his assistant coach right now, was about 5 years old, and we're in the old gym where he used to turn the heat up.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And when, the opponents walk in, they're like, it's hot in here. Oh, my goodness, it's because he's turning the heat up. And we practice in that every day. And so we were kind of conditioned to still give 100% in 90 degrees, Long story short, we're in the old gym, and Kobe Durden is happy to see his dad, and he's just runs to him, right? And because Durden's like playing, and he does like a karate kick, right? And he kicks Kobe about 10 feet across the floor. But that just kind of tells you like his tough mentality, and that's kind of where, I learned that defense wins games.
Yeah.
Rebounding wins championships. Just that era, that Pat Summitt era, that
no doubt.
That scoring's going to come. You can't control scoring a lot, but you can control how hard you play. You can control getting loose balls. You can control, defending opponents, rebounding, and that's going to always keep the game in a place that's reasonable.
Yeah.
The other thing I say this as I've gotten older as a coach, turnovers are big too, right? Because, turnovers against a quality team are going to equal points for them.
Yeah.
Same thing we're trying to do, right? And so, as I've gotten older, we can play defense, we can rebound, but if we turn the ball over 30 times, we better work on sprinting back in practice 30 times to try and get stops.
No doubt.
Because that causes points for your opponents as well. But, that's where the philosophy came from. And just that old mentality of basketball, like I mentioned, the Pat Summitts, she's big on defense, she's big on rebounding, and all the way around. So it's kind of stick with me over the years.
You're a big fan of women's college basketball, obviously the WNBA too. And listen, there are some coaches who just aren't, right? They're not fans of women's basketball.
Yes.
You are. So do you think the high school game mimics the college game? Do you think overall, it seems almost natural in men's basketball, male basketball, in boys basketball. I'm telling you, in boys basketball, that they are. Everything is about preparing them for the next level, right? Sometimes in girls basketball, it's more about like preparing them to overcome adversity. And hopefully in doing that, you're preparing them for the next level. Like, it just seems like the mentality is not there of we're building college athletes. And I can't describe why that is, but I feel like that is.
One of the analogies I use is this. If you go over to Centennial Elementary and, you get 100 girls, right? And you get 100 boys. And you ask those boys, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? A lot of them are going to say NFL players or basketball, NBA players, right? You rarely are going to have a girl that says, I want to play in the WNBA someday.
Yeah.
You may get 1 out of 100, possibly. But with those boys, you're going to get about 25 to 50% of those kids who say that that's what they want to do. I think our society is just not conditioned girls to want to be, like WNBA players or soccer players or whatnot. Girls traditionally want to cheer and whatnot, and so those are the when you're a head girls coach, you absolutely want to prepare them for that next level, and kind of getting them ready to play at that next level. But as you said earlier, not everybody wants to play.
Yeah, they've got to want it.
They've got to want to play at the next level. And so what you try and do is, one of the things I try to do as a coach is, I say like our team, they're really good with caring for each other, right? And so I know on the teams that I played on, not everybody wanted to play at the next level. We had 3 Division I's on my senior year to go play Division I. So our big thing was, hey, I want you to do everything you can to help her get ready to play at the next level, to get me to play at the next level. I have a cousin that played with me at Dade, and she was probably the best defensive player in the front of that press because that's what we needed her to do.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times here at Gainesville, what we're trying to do is say, hey, this kid does want to play at the next level, so I need you to do X, Y, Z and play your role so that your friend gets an opportunity to play at the next level so that we can compete with some of these bigger teams. I always say that's what college coaches want to see. They want to see you go against the GACs, and they want to see you go against the Westlands and some of their traditionally powerhouses in girls basketball, because that's what the college level is going to look like. You're going to have, you're going to be going against good competition every single day.
Yeah. And I love that you are exposing our young female student athletes to the next level. Like you take your team on trips to see South Carolina play basketball.
Yes.
That is important. You can't be it if you can't see it.
That's right.
And if you don't know that it exists altogether, you're never going to be able to even get to a point where you want to be it. So I love that you expose our female athletes to not only what could be, but the top level, the top tier of what could be. That is a part of your program that I really, really admire. As we wrap up with you here, Coach, what are your goals for this season?
Right now, I kind of talked to Coach Lindsey about it, but we have a color code system, right? We got orange, which is elite Final Four, state championship type teams. We have purple, which is Sweet 16, Elite 8 type teams. We have yellow, which is, first round state playoffs, those type of teams. And then we have blues. Last season, we felt like we were somewhere in the yellow area.
Yeah.
Right around first round of playoffs type teams. And so, like, all season, we've been working to be a purple team. We know that it's going to be hard to go from 0 to 100, go from yellow all the way to orange. But what we want to do this season is we want to try to get into that purple area.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons that we scheduled those purple teams for this summer and the start of this season. Because we want to just kind of see where we are in competing with those purple teams and just kind of understanding what it takes to compete with them.
Right.
And so, like you said, we got some purple type teams on our schedule. We got some orange type teams on our schedule, right? Milton's going to be orange type team. I watched them play River Ridge in the live period event this summer, and they look really well. look a lot faster. They're not as big as they were last year, but they're definitely an orange type team.
And if you look good against River Ridge, you're probably a pretty good basketball team.
Absolutely.
Goodness gracious.
I know, my goodness.
That was one of the best basketball teams I've ever seen.
I mean, so River Ridge is the team that put us out in the first round of the state tournament last year. Now, don't get your hackles up, Red Elephants. They went on to win their second straight state title. That has become a basketball factory. But so, again, to my point, if you can look good against River Ridge, you're probably better than most teams in this state.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, continue with your goals. Though.
Absolutely. They ended up beating River Ridge by 1. But like I said, summer's different. You have some kids that are missing and all the way around, but it was just a really great game. We got Buford on the schedule. They're always an orange type team.
Yeah.
They're going to come with it, and they're going to go up against some of the best competition in the state as well. We got Westlake on our schedule, which is a girls basketball powerhouse. I know they've been young a couple of years, but I've heard that they're kind of that some of that youth is turning into experience, and so we got a good preseason schedule to try to see if we're ready now. It may not, we're going to find out some weaknesses, but I think it's good that we find out those weaknesses so that by the end of the season, we're clicking on all levels, we're playing together, and we're understanding like what it takes to be that purple team.
Absolutely. And listen, this goes back to you having that old school mentality, man. To be the best, you got to beat the best.
Right.
And I bring up all the summer before Gainesville girls basketball won its first state title. The summer before, they didn't win a game. With Mahogany Hudson at point guard, right?
Yes.
Didn't win a game all summer. Why? Because to be the best, you got to beat the best, and they played the best. So I love that mentality. I love what you're doing with the girls program. Your philosophy in the coaching. Mainly though, I just love watching you play. I love watching your girls play. How hard they play. There's nothing better than seeing somebody take a charge, dive on the floor for a loose ball. And that's what you're bringing. And so, folks, make sure you're getting out this year to see the Lady Red Elephants play. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when. Get yourself to Davis Hill Gym or go to an away game. Obviously, you can check out their schedule on our website, goredelephants.com. But make sure you're getting out to see the Lady Red Elephants play. We're going to have you on a couple more times, Vanessa, so get used to this. Sorry for the chaos, but it is what it is. It's how we live. We sure do appreciate you. Best of luck as you start the season, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
After a 2-week hiatus that frankly seemed a lot longer, a lot longer. Red Elephant football is going to return to action this week against Dunwoody in the first round of the Class 5A state playoffs. And because Big Red's getting back on Bobby Gruen Field, Coach Josh Niblett is back on Behind the G as the vibe check returns. Last time we played football, Halloween was still a week out.
That's a long time
That's
ago.
a long time. Last time we played football, Halloween was still a week out. That is an absolute while ago. Layover is going to be long regardless. But you throw a disappointing loss in at the start of it, and those 2 weeks have, at least for Adam, because of my attitude, been darn near unbearable.
Heavy.
They've been a little heavy. So, how about for you, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we wanted to win the game, win the region, but they made one more play than we made, and so we didn't win it. But I think our kids have done a really good job the last couple of weeks of handling these last 2 weeks that we've been off, because we tried to do a really good job of getting them rested up, get healed up a little bit. And then, we put that to bed, and that gave us a little bit of time to do that. We first came in that off week. We lifted them right out of the gates on Monday. Then we met on Tuesday. Then we practiced, I think it was Wednesday, Thursday with a short one on Friday. And then we came back the next week, and we lifted them on Monday, and then we practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then gave them Friday. We got a lift in, and then got back to game week this week. But I think our guys have done a really good job. We're in a good place right now. I think our guys are extremely healthy, probably as healthy as we've been in a while. Because my first year we were a little banged up going into the playoffs early, And then my second year we got banged up as the playoffs went on.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year we were really banged up before we even got into the
Decimated,
playoffs.
yeah, no doubt.
And so this year, I mean, we're back and feel like our guys are in a good place. It was a little chilly this morning. It's when you start practice before 6:30, especially this week. It's pretty. But our kids did a really good job of handling it this morning, and we got a lot of good things taken care of. So I'm excited. Our kids are excited.
There's nothing I love more, Adam, than to beat a dead horse. And there's nothing I love more. When you were talking about the game and the region title, it seems like it was so long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it was. I feel like we've had a whole off season.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. You mentioned the health of the team. Obviously, that's a good thing to have a bit of a layover. But what are the cons to this thing?
Last year I did a lot of research going into those 3 weeks, that we're about to come out of. Whether it be calling, FCS schools that have 21 days off before they play in the championship game from the time that they win the semifinal game, and was able to get some insight on that based off of some things that I've always done in some bye weeks. But when you have 2 weeks back to back, there's a difference between, like, I've had an off week, and I think my first year we had an off week, played, and then had another off week.
Yeah.
So, like, I've done that before with a game in the middle. The key is just trying to keep your kids competitive, Also keeping them making good decisions, doing the right thing. And we really talked a lot about that. The cons is this: rest or rust. That's the con. Are you going to be rusty when you come out in the first round, or are you going to be rested when you come out the first round? And I'm excited to see which one we're going to be. And I feel like this year, I just have a good feeling about our guys and where we're at, because we did a lot of competition the last couple of weeks of competing against each other, put the ball down, give a situation, and whoever lost had a penalty and a consequence at the end. And so just trying to make sure we're keeping that competitive spirit as we go. And then once we get into this week, it's more mental than it is physical.
Yeah.
And then let's be ready to play. So, but the con of it is just everybody loves to play.
Yeah.
We're in a world today to where kids don't. You got travel ball. Kids don't want to practice. They just want to play games.
Yeah.
And so if you can make it as game-like with them and know that there's something there for them to win or lose, our kids love that. And they would much rather go good on good than they would work on some other team and get a look.
Right.
And that's one of the things, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but as you and I've talked,
Horse.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially around
There's
here.
a couple of them,
We're making glue. And this is just because you and I have had conversations. Obviously, we went through this last year. You've done a ton of planning, preparing for this year, how to best use this time, and I think it's important for people to know, like, what your focus was each week. And I thought that was really cool. So if you can talk about, I know, like, week 1 was focus on yourself.
Yep.
Week 2 was focus on us.
Yep.
Week 3 is focus on what is now Dunwoody.
Yep.
Talk about how our kids handled that and your focus on that with the team.
Well, I think the other neat thing about this whole deal is the week that we came out of the region championship game, the first week we were off, there was still a lot of anxiety in the air because we're waiting on Friday night to see who wins, right? Yep. So you were still locked in and focused on knowing that, hey, look, we still got a chance to be the 1 seed or we're going to be the 2 seed, right? So the key, I think, as a head coach is making sure you keep your team consistent in what you're doing with their schedule. So, we brought them in every day and did something with them. Whether it be the first day we brought them in, we lifted. The next morning we came in, we watched the film from the Roswell game, we put it to bed, right? We come in on Wednesday, we practice, and some people be like, well, give them some time off. Well, we practiced, but we only went for 50 minutes. Mm-hmm. The next day, we added another 10 minutes to it, so we went an hour. On Friday, we went an hour and 10, so we just kind of escalated the time. So the first week, I just want us to worry about us. There was a lot of individual work, a lot of individual group work. So it was Indy on the first day, Indy group on that Thursday, and then on that Friday, we implemented team in there, some competitions. We come back the next week. The first day, which we went out and practiced, was on Tuesday. It was all about us, 100% us. When we came out on Wednesday, it was 75% us, 25% Dunwoody. And then when we came out on Thursday, we went 50% us, 50% Dunwoody to get an early start. And then, of course, once we come in yesterday on Monday, we get our lift in. We have a walkthrough install yesterday. This morning, we still get some of us in. But as a majority of Dunwoody, making sure we understand how we want to get lined up. But we want to keep our edge by going against each other. Tomorrow will be the same thing. We'll actually on Wednesday do a little more of us than we do Dunwoody, which is normally what I do on Wednesdays. So we're worried more about our strengths than we are their strengths, right? We want our strengths to expose their deficiencies. And that's just kind of how we handle the week. And I think by doing that, our kids knew there was a benchmark. If you go up to the locker room and look, I got Harper, my daughter, to make a sign. And it was every day from the Monday we got back for the first open week. It's every date all the way through. So every day I go in and I cross out the number and I put a champ stamp on it, right? So every day they come in, they can kind of see it going down. Now they got 3 days left and, it's time to go play. And that's kind of been neat. Our motto through the playoffs was lock in, lock out. Lock in the things that matter, lock out the things that don't matter. And we started that 2 weeks ago. And I feel like our kids have done a good job of that.
I love this little stuff. Like keeping them invested and interested, it might be your hardest job. And those are two different things.
Yeah,
keeping them invested and interested might be your hardest job these last 3 weeks. But listening to how, and I'm always like this with you, Coach, how you go about your business. Like I'm interested and invested. Yes. I don't know how they could not be. Yeah. Like I wish I had been. And maybe I should start coming and working out. I don't have any idea. I don't think I'd last very long. But all those little things like getting your daughter to make a sign, just the forethought of all of it.
And I think the other thing is too, when you have off weeks, I think sometimes I don't want the kids to feel like they have to come here. I want them to feel like they get to come here.
Yeah.
So the first week we didn't do anything in the afternoon. I mean, we gave them the afternoons off. The next week we only met a couple of days in the afternoon and then we gave them the afternoons off.
Right.
Because I think it's important for them to want to be here and want to come. Because sometimes you can get to the playoffs and going, man, I got a great story for you. When I was at Hoover, we had this kid that played right tackle for us. Never played football before, but was just unbelievable athlete. And, now he might not make a mistake. He might not do what he's supposed to do sometimes as far as a play called and execute it, but he was always physical, always played hard. Well, he played right tackle for us. First time he ever played. Riley, my nephew, was on the team. So we're in the first round of the playoffs. We win. We go to the second round, we win. Well, after the second round game's over with, he looks at Riley and goes, hey, man, how many more we think we got? And we went on to win the state championship. And, I think there was 3 more rounds after that. And because sometimes I think, as much as you want to be here, it takes a toll on you sometimes. Yeah. And 10-game season in our region, our schedule, can take a toll on you. But, I mean, if you come out and watch our kids practice this morning, even when it's wind chill at about 15 or 16, I mean, there's great energy out there. And our kids just genuinely love playing with each other, and I think that makes a big difference too.
We had Coach Vanessa White, girls basketball coach, on a little while ago, and I got super distracted because there was a group of your assistant coaches walking from the weight room over to the Student Activity Center, and literally all you could see were eyes. They were so bundled up from head to toe still. Like they hadn't been able to warm up from practice this morning, and it was just the funniest. They look like little football minions coming over, and all you can see were these beady little eyes. But Gainesville hosting Dunwoody.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
When you were playing.
Okay.
All right. When you were playing and you got an opportunity to get to the playoffs,
yes.
right? There's a time there, like this hit me this weekend in church. Like I was thinking about, like with Esther in the Bible, it talks about you were made for such a time as this, right? But for some people, time means certain things to them, right? And for me, I told our guys, I don't want you to see it as time of, hey, we don't win this week, we hand our gear in, it's over. We don't get time to play football anymore. I told our seniors, like all you have is this time right now. Mm-hmm. But it's really not about the game of football. It's about everybody in that team meeting room.
Yep.
Like the time that you have where we'll all be assembled together. How many more times do you want to be able to do this? Like it can't just be about football. It's about the connections that you made. And football was the vehicle that got us connected. And so really talking to our guys about savoring that, like when they get to see each other before practice every day, don't take it for granted. Look, if you want to spend more time together, then play for each other. And I wanted to say that because I know as a player, you were highly competitive and you loved your teammates and you were a leader. But I know as an athlete, sometimes I would get caught up in the playoffs of, that time, like, I don't want to lose because I want to keep playing.
Right.
Instead of, I don't want to lose because I want to keep playing with these guys.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when your mentality of love for each other is there, then it just makes you play that much harder.
I was really fortunate to learn that lesson early in my athletic career.
Yep.
That, yes, as a competitor, I want to win anything I'm in. A literal board game of life, I want to win.
Yep.
I want to win anything. But my sophomore year of high school, we're coming off a 30-0 season, state championship season. That next year, you know, the team was exceptionally close. Probably one of the closest teams I've ever been on. And, you know, we're rolling through that season. We're ranked number 1 in the state. We get to the first round of the state playoffs. We were, 51-1 at that point over 2 seasons. We'd lost to Woodward Academy in a Christmas tournament. And that was our only loss over the course of those 2 seasons. We get to the first round of the state playoffs, and we lost. We lost to an unranked team and did not get the opportunity to defend our title. We were all completely shocked by the loss, and it just threw everything on. And it was one of those teams that when we lost, my love for the sport waned a little bit because it hurt so badly, but not because the scoreboard. We had fewer points on the scoreboard, but because I wasn't going to get to play with those girls ever again.
Yep.
That's what hurt.
Yep.
And so because I learned that lesson so early in my career, I was able to, as my career went on through the rest of high school and then into college, really take hold of those extra moments.
Yeah.
Not because we got to play, but because we got to have team dinner together. Because we got to ride the bus again together. Because we got to study film again together. All those little moments that folks roll their eyes at, or you know, that's the stuff. That's the good stuff.
That's the world we live in today, though, because everybody's just trying to get theirs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So if you can get a team to invest in each other, not be interested in each other, but invest in each other, love each other, hold each other accountable, love just genuinely playing with each other. And you could tell when you watch a team whether they love playing with each other.
Well, we talked about this early this season. Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought all week this week about this weekend when we're playing, like, you know, having those opportunities where our guys run on the field and, you know, they're excited. And I just think we're going to see that from this group. And I think they've got a chance to make a special run at this thing because of that. But, yeah, I totally agree with you. I just don't – there's so many things you could take for granted when you're trying to chase a championship that if you're not careful, it'll come back and bite you. Mm-hmm. And then you're standing there and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like – you can say whatever you want, but I felt that way last year after we got beat in the first round. Oh, yeah. We were the 3 seed, but we got beat in the first round. That was not an expectation of mine, all right? And nor did I think that was an expectation of anybody in the program. But it just goes to show, though, if you take things for granted sometimes, you know, and not appreciate just the small things. I put a deal up, and I know we're getting off task a little bit here, but I put a slogan up for our kids the other day. I said, big doors have small hinges. You know, so, hey, you know what? Don't matter how big the door is, the hinges are never as big as the door, but the door don't work without the hinges. And I told them the small things are what's going to allow us to do big things. See a little, see a lot. You see a whole lot, you see very little. And so we've really talked hard about that the last 3 weeks.
Before we get to Dunwoody, there's this. Did Adam want to say something?
Sidecar Willie over
there. Go for it.
Well, I was just going to. No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, please talk.
I'm going to move on. So.
Come on.
Okay. So last thing, and then we will, in fact, move on. We've talked all season about these little moments with your team and how you can kind of smell special because of those moments, celebrating each other, and they do it so overtly. And I think that was the part about losing to Roswell that sucked so bad. Wasn't the actual loss, like the numbers, but this group losing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You wanted this group to win it.
Yeah.
Because, golly, how they fight for each other. Just, this is what sucks about it.
Well, it's certainly about, with this football program, it's about the shared experience. It's about enjoying the journey. Yeah. And obviously we want the journey to last as long as we can, but we got to make sure we're enjoying it as we go, which brings me to my next point or question. excited about being able to go back to Bobby Gruen Field.
Yes, sir.
Excited about playing in the first round out of the playoffs. What are you looking forward to? What should we expect from Dunwoody? What does it mean for us to be able to host this first round?
Well, definitely looking forward to getting back on the field. Now you could say whatever you want. The elephant in the room is we lost in the first round last year.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's some stress and anxiety that we got to come out of the gates and play well, right? But I just told our guys, let's just go have fun. Look, where we've played our best is where we've cut it loose and we've just had fun. No matter what, let the chips fall where they may, but let's don't not have fun and then have regrets when it's all said and done. So, I'm excited about getting on the field. And then getting back in the stadium. Hopefully we'll have a good crowd and people come want to be a part of it, because this is what our reasonable expectations are, that we expect to make runs in the playoffs. When I first came here, I talked about we didn't come here to win games, we came here to win championships, and we can't win championships without getting in the playoffs. So we're in, so we got to make the most of it. Dunwoody, when I think about Dunwoody, I just think about a team that's disciplined. I mean, they're a team that plays extremely physical. They want to be able to run the football on offense. They've got some guys on the perimeter that can go. Their quarterback does a really good job of facilitating the ball out to where it needs to be. Running back runs extremely hard. We'll have to tackle well. Thing we talked about is we got to be good on first and second down so we can earn the right to rush the passer on third down and put them in some situations we want them to be in, not situations they want us to be in. For them defensively, they go as their two linebackers go. I mean, they're extremely good football players. Look, I don't know if these guys will play college ball. I don't know at what level, but they are unbelievable football players, and they're very physical. And so they do a lot of stuff in the box to try to, muck it up a little bit and get an extra hat in the box for run game. Like how we try to run the football. I'm sure we'll get some of that. So we're going to have to win some one-on-one matchups out on the perimeter. Their kicker, he's going to kick the ball in the end zone, so you're probably going to start him with 20. But hey, my expectation is let's don't just let that happen but one time. Yeah. We don't need them kicking off to us but once. And then, I think they've got guys in the return game that are good athletes. And if you don't stay in your lanes and if you don't vice things up, then they can hurt you. What we've got to do early is we got to play really, really good early. So any thought that they think that, hey, we're going to play with them, we got to knock it out early. And our kids understand that. So we want to play fast and physical early and often. And that's kind of the thing that we've been talking about. Talk's cheap. We got to go make it happen. Those guys will put together a good plan. They've done it every week. But you look at their region, look at our region.
It's not the same.
Well, it's not. But here's the thing. Like, they're trying to win one game in the playoffs. Yeah. They are. Hey, we're trying to win every one of them.
Yeah.
And so, our thing is we got to go. Our motto this week is win and 0. That's it. We just want to be 1-0 this week. We'll be 1-0 the next week. So you like that one?
Well, I've got to start writing every time you come in here. There's three or four of these little things you drop, and I'm like, gummit.
Well, you know what? It's funny because my notes app, if you go in it, I think there's over 1,700 notes in my notes app.
Totally believe it.
That I just continuously, whether I'm walking or whether I'm at home or in the middle of the night, I'll grab my phone, I'll put it in, and I might hear somebody say something. I'll go, man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's about. Like, it's how can I learn? And I told our coaches in the staff meeting the other day, it's like, look, man, we got to be great teachers. Yeah. Teachers got to want to teach, but the bottom line is students got to want to learn. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not a great teacher if I'm teaching math and every one of my students fails. I remember that back in the day. I used to think, man, I think my teacher wants everybody to fail so they can make everybody think they're a hard teacher. And it's not that you want everybody to pass. It's just you want everybody to understand the content.
Correct.
Then you get to make your choice. So for us, the test on Friday, our teachers got to do a great job teaching this week, and our students got to do a great job learning.
And I think, as you mentioned, it's really important for us to come out and start fast this week, almost because of what happened last year. I think we have to come out and for ourselves, we have to come out and build that confidence for ourselves that last year was a fluke. We're ready to turn it up and make that 5-game run. So that's I think that's
well. I just really see an excitement with our guys. Like, I'll probably have to do a really good job of keeping our guys toned down.
Sure.
Because I thought, and I don't like to say this a whole lot, but like Milton, we were really, really locked in. Mm-hmm. I thought when we played Roswell before the game, it's not that we weren't locked in. I just thought we were a little too loose at times. And I don't like our guys just to be sitting in there and don't do anything, because everybody has a certain way they get ready to play, right? but I just thought maybe we were a little looser. And we talked about that next week.
I feel like you're blaming me because we didn't have a lightning delay.
Well, yeah, that does help when we can do that. That is a shared experience. Let's don't do it this week either. I'm good. I'm good without one. Yeah, I'm good without it. But yeah, I think our kids are just going to be so excited, like when they sprint on the field and the D comes on the field or special team. I think you're going to see a spring in their step, and I think there will be an excitement in the air. And our kids know what they're playing for. And we don't have any kids showing up every day like, man, we got to do this. Or, these guys are like, they're ready, and they want to play. And when you get to this point in time in the season, it's kind of like, all right, guys, hey, let's be healthy. Let's get to the game and let's play at a high level. So,
the idea, there's a lot of times I think, man, I'd love to just go out there one more time, right? Just put the uniform on one more time, get out there. But what's interesting is not to, show off great skill, because I'm sure it's declined in the last 15 years. But for those moments, to run out of a locker room again, that's it.
God, yeah, no doubt.
I'd give anything.
Well, I tell our guys.
To hear a crowd, come on.
So look, I tell our guys this, and I know they get tired of hearing it, but high truth, high love, right? That's what our program's about.
You writing it down?
And I tell our seniors this.
That one I
look, there's only one pure moment in sports, and that's high school. Mm-hmm. Like youth, it's parents have taken that over.
Yeah.
Right? But high school sports, there's still a purity there to where it's Friday night football, it's a Tuesday night basketball game. It's a Thursday doubleheader in baseball. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's softball tournaments where you go. I love those things, right? Yeah. And you're never going to get that back. And I told our seniors, look, you could go on to college, you could start, you can have an NIL deal, but I'm telling you, it will never be the same experience that you have here. And you will always want to go back and do it again. So you better enjoy it and you better make the most of it, because your legacy you leave behind has nothing to do with your reputation. It's got everything to do with your character. And it has everything to do with not who you are as a player, but who you are as a person. Because people will remember, like I asked the kids the other day, I said, okay, who won the Heisman in 2018? You got crickets. I said, well, who won it in 19 then? Heck, some of you couldn't even tell me who won it last year, because those people come and go.
Yeah.
But I tell you this, I remember Cam Scattaboo last year.
Yeah.
Because of how he played the game.
Yeah.
Right? And so, that's what you want to be remembered for. So the more opportunities I get to do that, the more times I can leave a legacy for those people that come after me.
Absolutely love it. Gainesville coming in at 8-2, Dunwoody 5-5. They're the 3 seed out of Region 4. Of course, we are the 2 seed out of Region 8, 7. What
7.
region are we in?
We're 7.
Golly, with all this region realignment, reclassification, I can't keep much.
Well,
of
I think that's the other thing, being battle tested. I didn't even think about the stat yesterday, but I'm at the Rotary Club and they're talking about our team, but they were like, the 2 teams that beat us are combined record of 19-1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Roswell lost to Buford, right? But
they're pretty good.
Yeah, they are pretty good. And in both games, you say should have won, could have won, would have won. But at the end of the day, our guys know who we are, right? Mm-hmm. And that those ball games were 2 ball games that we got to play a little better in these areas. And we know moving forward, these are the kind of teams that we're going to see in the playoffs, so our kids have a high expectation. I would much rather go through that. And I know people are like, well, you're just saying that because you got beat. But I would much rather go through that and then play at the level and make sure that we're elevating at the time we need to elevate than I would elevate in the middle of the season and then decline.
Yeah.
I don't want that. So.
And I don't know, no team that has ever won it has ever thought themselves defined by their record. Yeah. Whether your record's 10-0, 8-2, 5-5.
If you go back and look at Deshaun and them in 2012, they lost the first 2 out of the gate, if I'm not mistaken, or lost 2 games that year.
They lost their last 2 regular season games.
And I think sometimes that's how you figure out who you are. I don't want to figure out who I am after losing the last game of the year.
Yeah.
I'd much rather lose the last game of the season, regular season, and find out who I am.
Amen to that. Keep climbing.
Yep.
So since it came up in conversation here, new regions came out yesterday, slightly different, and not much for us. What's your take on the addition of Alpharetta and Mountain View?
Yeah, you're looking at an Alpharetta team that has played in the highest classification. So, I mean, they'll do a really good job there. They'll be coached up. They've always had good players. I mean, they've always had some good athletes, We played them in the spring 2 years ago, and they had some dudes. I mean, there was a lot of college people there watching their guys. Yep. I don't know much about Riverwood,
Oh, yeah.
So I just know they're new. And, it's still, Milton and Roswell are in there. We lost Seconder. Lanier is still in there. We lost Chattahoochee. Mm-hmm. So, for me, it's the biggest thing I think for me now is we're in an 8-team region. So we'll play 7 games and we'll have 3 non-region, which in the past we played 6, had 4 non-region. So making sure we're playing the teams that we want to play, continue to support the brand that we want to become, whatever that looks like. And I know you and I have talked about that in length, and where we want to be and we want to continue to be and continue to keep climbing. But, I think we'll still – this time next year we'll be battle-tested for sure, and we'll allow ourselves an opportunity because of the schedule that we play. Yeah,
and certainly, a lot as we transition from the last year of the top 4 from the region making the playoffs going to – region champion and then PSR in from there. It's going to play a lot into scheduling. We've talked a little bit about it on the podcast. You and I have talked a bunch about it, and it is certainly going to, it's going to take the attention, and you're going to have to schedule correctly.
I think the other thing you and I talked about is if you go out of state and you want to play a national game, it's not going to count against you.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it probably would have counted against you, and then you'd be like, well, we're not going to do that, And then the kids don't get the exposure that you want for your program and them, right, to give them those opportunities. And I think we're going to play high-level competition. We've always done that. I told everybody at the Rotary yesterday, I was like, look, we played McEachern in the Jamboree. Yeah. They're the number 1 in their region, right? Yeah. Then we play Marietta, who's the number 2.
Yep.
Then we play Moody, who's probably going to win the 5A state championship in Alabama.
Yep.
Then we play Carrollton, who's the number 1, all right? And then you go through our region, all right? And look, that's what, at least 7 teams that you're playing, 8 teams that you better show up every week and play well. And I can't say that for all the other regions, but our region will be highly competitive. I promise you that.
All right, folks. Bobby Gruen Field, where it's at on Friday night, first round of the Class 5A state playoffs. More importantly, though, Gainesville football is back in action. And what is it, Coach, you say? Any game we're in is a big game?
Yeah, well, it's a big game because we're in it.
That's right. It's a big game because we're in it, and that is for sure what Friday night is going to be. Elephant Walk at 5:30, kickoff at 7:30, as we always do here on the Weekly Vibe Check when we're able to have it, and goodness knows I am so glad it's back for this week. Coach, implore our fans to be there, tell them why it's important, and send us on our way.
Well, we need everybody to show up and show out. These are the opportunities that you get. I think sometimes we take it for granted. Oh, it's the first round, this, that, and the other. Don't take anything for granted. Our kids deserve to have those bleachers packed with great energy, great effort, so we can give great execution. Wear your best red. That's who we are. So wear your best red. Be in the bleachers early. That's what playoffs are about because, look, we don't know when we win this one, are we going to travel next week? Where are we going to be? We know we got this home game here. So let's make the most of it and make it tough for Dunwoody to be able to execute because of the noise and because of the energy. So God bless everybody and go Big Red.